I don't understand, God. Her voice broke in the darkness of her bedroom. He loves you. He loves me. Why would you say no? Tears streamed silently down her face as she sat on the floor beside her bed, her Bible open but unread. Everything about him seemed right. Everything. So why did her spirit feel so wrong? She pressed her hands against her chest as if trying to quiet the unrest inside her. I've prayed for a godly man, she whispered. Isn't he that man? Silence filled the room. Not empty, not cold, but firm. 6 months later, she would discover the truth. When Nathan first walked into church, everyone noticed. He wasn't just attractive, though he was undeniably handsome, tall, confident, well-dressed without trying too hard. But it was more than that. It was the way he carried himself, purposeful, assured, like a man who knew exactly who he was. He volunteered immediately, joined the men's Bible study, quoted scripture effortlessly, spoke about spiritual discipline and leadership like someone twice his age. Women admired him. Men respected him. And when he noticed her, he didn't rush. He was intentional. Claire, right? He asked one Sunday, offering a warm smile. I've seen you here before. She felt her cheeks flush slightly. Yes. I've been praying to meet someone who loves God the way you do. It was direct, but not inappropriate, at least not yet. Their conversations started after service, then over coffee, then long evening phone calls about theology, purpose, marriage calling. He spoke about wanting a Proverbs 31 wife, about building a Christ-centered home, about raising children in faith. He listened when she spoke. He complimented her wisdom, sent her long messages filled with scripture and encouragement. He brought her flowers after only 2 weeks of talking. Just because, he said softly. They prayed together. And when he prayed, it was powerful, passionate, almost poetic. She felt safe, chosen, seen. She began imagining a future. But subtle things began to surface. Small things, easy to dismiss. He didn't like when she stayed late talking to certain friends. They're not spiritually mature, he would say gently. I just want to protect your growth. He questioned why she needed to serve in women's ministry when she could focus more on preparing for marriage. He teased her about male co-workers, lightly at first. I just don't like the idea of other men having access to you. He framed jealousy as devotion, control as leadership, isolation as protection. And because he wrapped it all in scripture, she struggled to see it clearly. Her friends noticed. You've changed, one of them said carefully. You seem different. Claire defended him immediately. He just cares deeply. And he did. But his care felt heavy sometimes, like a hand resting on her shoulder just a little too firmly. 3 months in, he began speaking about engagement. Why wait, he asked one evening. When you know. She smiled nervously. It's still early. He grew quiet. Are you doubting me? The question felt sharp. No, I just want to be sure. He took her hands. I've never been more sure about anything. His intensity overwhelmed her. Part of her loved it. Part of her feared it. So she did what she always did. She prayed, God, if this is from you, give me peace. When she imagined marrying him, her chest tightened. When she imagined ending it, she felt an unexpected calm. She ignored it. Maybe it was fear. Maybe she wasn't ready. She prayed again. God removed doubt. But the doubt didn't leave. It grew. A Sunday sermon pierced her heart. The pastor spoke about discernment. Not every man who speaks scripture carries the Spirit. Her stomach dropped. Wolves don't announce themselves, the pastor continued. They blend in. Her mind raced. No, that couldn't be Nathan. That night, she opened her Bible randomly. Her eyes fell on one verse. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is destruction. She closed it quickly. This is fear, she told herself. But the unrest wouldn't go away. Nathan sensed her hesitation. "You're pulling away," he said one evening. "I just need clarity." "Clarity or confirmation?" he asked. His tone was different. Less warm, more demanding. She felt something shift. "Do you trust God?" he asked pointedly. "Yes." "Then why are you questioning what he's clearly blessing?" The pressure mounted. Her heart pounded. But when she went home that night and knelt beside her bed, the peace only came when she whispered, "I can let him go." That was the moment she knew. Obedience wouldn't feel good, but it would feel right. The next evening, she met him at the park where they had once talked about marriage. Her hands trembled. "I can't move forward," she said softly. His expression hardened instantly. "What? I don't have peace." He laughed once, short and cold. "Peace? Or fear? I've prayed. And you think God would bring me into your life just for you to throw it away?" His voice sharpened. "You're making a mistake." Tears filled her eyes. "Maybe." He stepped closer. "You won't find someone who leads like I do." There it was. Not concern. Pride. "I'm not questioning your leadership," she whispered. "You are," he replied flatly. "You're doubting God." The manipulation became clearer now. "You don't have enough faith," he added. The words pierced her. But strangely, they didn't control her. "I trust God enough to walk away," she said quietly. For a moment, he stared at her. Then his face changed. Cold. Detached. "Fine," he said. "You'll regret this." He walked away without looking back. She cried for weeks. Mourned the future she imagined. Questioned herself. But deep down, there was peace. Months passed. Then one afternoon, a friend called. "Claire, I didn't know how to tell you." Her stomach tightened. "Nathan's engaged." The words hit her like a wave. So fast. "Yes, and there's more." Claire listened silently as the truth unfolded. He had been talking to another woman during their relationship, telling her similar things. Same intensity, same promises, same spiritual language. There were rumors of previous churches, short stays, broken engagements, unresolved conflicts, a pattern. Claire sat in stunned silence. Her hands trembled. She thought back to every uneasy feeling, every restless prayer, every warning, and suddenly it made sense. God hadn't rejected her desire for love. He had protected her from deception. She knelt that night with tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered, "not for the pain, but for the protection." Healing took time. She rebuilt friendships, returned fully to ministry, focused on growing in her own calling. No longer praying for a husband desperately, just praying for alignment. A year later, Claire wasn't praying for a husband anymore. She was praying for wholeness. And that was when she met Daniel. He didn't enter the church with attention following him. In fact, she barely noticed him at first. He was helping stack chairs after service, laughing quietly with an elderly couple, carrying equipment without being asked. There was no performance in him, just presence. Their first real conversation happened accidentally. She dropped a folder of ministry papers in the hallway. He knelt immediately to help her gather them. "You're in children's ministry?" he asked gently. "Yes." "That's important work. Not impressive. Not dramatic. Just sincere." Over the next few weeks, their interactions remained simple. Short conversations, shared smiles, nothing intense. And strangely, that felt safe. One evening, after midweek service, he walked beside her to the parking lot. "Would it be all right if I took you to coffee sometime?" he asked. No pressure, no spiritual speeches, just a question. She studied his face for a moment. Calm eyes, soft expression. "Yes," she replied. Their first date lasted 2 hours, not because of intensity, but because of comfort. He asked about her story, And when she hesitated before mentioning Nathan, he didn't push. "You don't owe me details," he said quietly. "Just honesty when you're ready." That sentence alone healed something inside her. Weeks passed. Daniel never rushed physical affection, never claimed her as his, never spoke about ownership. Instead, he encouraged her. When she mentioned feeling insecure about a teaching opportunity at church, he said, "You don't need to shrink to be loved." When she apologized for being cautious in relationships, he smiled softly. Caution isn't weakness. It's wisdom learned. One night, it rained unexpectedly while they were walking after dinner. They ran laughing toward his car. When they got inside, breathless, she looked at him and realized something surprising. Her chest felt light, not tight. No anxiety, no pressure, just peace. Months into dating, a small disagreement surfaced. She had committed to helping a friend move on a Saturday. The same day, he had planned a surprise outing. For a brief moment, fear flickered in her. Would he guilt her? Would he say she wasn't prioritizing him? Instead, he paused. "Your friend needs you?" "Yes." "Then we reschedule." No edge, no manipulation, just understanding. And in that moment, she saw the difference clearly. Nathan had wanted control disguised as closeness. Daniel wanted partnership rooted in freedom. No one had ever loved her like that. Not urgently, not possessively, but patiently. As months turned into a year, their relationship deepened naturally. He met her parents, spoke respectfully, listened attentively. He prayed with her, not in dramatic monologues, but in simple, steady words. Daniel proposed on a quiet afternoon. He took her back to the same hill overlooking the city. "I don't promise perfection," he said, kneeling slowly. "I promise presence. I promise humility. I promise to never compete with God for your heart." Tears blurred her vision. "That's all I've ever wanted," she whispered. When she said yes, it wasn't adrenaline. It was certainty. On their wedding day, as she stood at the altar, she thought back to the night she had cried on her bedroom floor, asking why God said no. Now she understood. God hadn't denied her love. He had refined her discernment. Daniel took her hands gently, not gripping, not claiming, just holding, and as the pastor pronounced them husband and wife, peace settled over her completely. During the reception, Daniel leaned close and whispered, "I'm grateful you waited for me." She smiled softly. "I'm grateful God made me." Later that night, alone together for the first time as husband and wife, she rested her head against his chest, his heartbeat steady, calm, safe, and she whispered the words she once spoke through tears. "Thank you for saying no, because if God had said yes to the wrong man, she would have missed the right one."